At a hospital in Wales, doctors are confronted by a shocking X-ray. This white mass is a fishing weight, and it's inside a man's eye socket. How did an object meant for catching fish end up hooking a human? In the summer of 2005, in the idyllic countryside of Wales, 34-year-old Darren Williams and his friend Stephen Roberts took a break from work to catch a few carp.
I think I've been fishing with Darren about 10, 15 times over the last few years. Darren's not a bad fisherman, he could be better though.
The last time they fished together, Darren landed a huge carp.
So he is lucky now and again.
But not this day. Darren hooked something and began to reel in. But the more he reeled, the tighter the line became, until suddenly it snapped. And the 2-inch lead weight shot out of the water at lightning speed, literally into Darren's eye.
I found him doubled over. I thought he was just having a bit of a laugh, he's a joker. And then I realised there was something a bit more serious.
Stephen rushed Darren to the nearby tackle shop. The owner called for help.
Oh, what's happened? Darren was really pale and there was some swelling and some bruising. The ambulance told us not to do anything. So I just put a blanket around his shoulders, kept an eye on him in case he went into shock.
But the ones in shock were the paramedics. Even Bleddyn Roberts, who'd been at this job for 25 years, couldn't believe it.
His eye was very swollen, as though he'd been punched by a professional boxer. There was a definite possibility that he might have lost his sight.
When Surgeon Emma Woolley saw the X-ray, she was stunned.
We could see that this large metal object, the fish weight, had passed down the side of his eye and had broken through the very fragile bone between his eye and his air sinus underneath and had lodged itself into this air sinus. We weren't sure whether we'd be able to get the weight out of the way it came or whether we'd have to go in via the mouth and into the air sinus and pull it out that way.
After weighing the options, the team settled for the simplest solution.
Any damage would have been done already and that we weren't going to do any further damage by pulling it out the way it went in.
They began by easing the weight out and got some welcome news.
The weight had passed down the side of his eyeball and pushed it out of the way.
But there was other damage.
We were aware all the way through the operation that Darren's eyesight could be in danger.
It took about 3 hours for Dr. Woolley and her surgical team to reconstruct the damaged bone and reattach torn blood vessels. It wasn't until the next day that they knew the results.
The whole team are amazed that such a large object hadn't caused any damage to his eye or caused blindness and hasn't caused any long-term damage. It was incredible.
Within weeks, Darren was back to his normal life. The man who looked like he'd never see out of his left eye again is fine.
I thought the lead weight had damaged my eye and I thought I'd lose my sight in that eye. Everything's fine now. It hasn't affected my quality of life at all.
Darren is also famous, at least in Wales, and he hopes to turn that notoriety into some internet cash. And knowing Darren's luck, he'll more than likely get a great offer.
So there's a crossbar for the bottom. We'll attach it to the leg, and ideally we'd have a 4:1 ratio here. So if this is 8 meters long, to the center of this crossbeam would be 2 meters, and that would give us roughly 70 to 75 degrees angle on the inward points there, which makes the structure as strong as we can have it, really.
At the end of the day, if you're having any sort of problems with setting valves or fault finding on the machine, you've always got the instruction book from the manufacturer to fall back on. Inside the instruction book you have detailed instructions of how to do all these pressure adjustments, and on other pages you have wiring diagrams which are quite easy to follow.